But first, Majority Leader Harry Reid, look out. Republican senators are charging right at you full speed. One day after explosive ruling in Florida that says the federal health care law is unconstitutional, two Republican senators, who you know very well, are introducing a measure to let states opt out of the health care law's individual mandate, Medicaid expansion, and the employer mandate. If several states opt out, exactly who will be paying for the health care law should the Supreme Court ultimately hold it constitutional? Republican Senators Graham and Barrasso are leading the charge, and they join us now. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
So let me go to you, Senator Graham. If the opt-out, and I'll have Senator Barrasso explain it in a second, but if the opt-out would to go through, and let's say 26 states opted out because 26 are part of that action, Florida, so they don't like it. How does this health care bill get paid for?
It fails. You can't pay for it. The whole goal is to allow people to speak about the bill. This is the bill that was passed on Christmas Eve in the dead of night behind closed doors without one Republican vote, sleazy tactics to get the 60th vote. Remember that bill? We're talking about a process that stunk up the place, and the fact that the American people are not happy with the results should not be surprising. So what we're trying to do is take the debate out of Washington to the state level and let people at home vote as to whether or not they want to be in Obama health care. My view of the matter would be if you allowed the states to opt out, over half would. That would make us start over with a new bill.
Explain the opt-out, Senator.
Well, what we want to do is for patients, we want to make sure that they get the care that they need from the doctors that they want at cost they can afford. And by giving states the individual choice, they can opt out of the individual mandate, they can opt out of the employer mandate, this huge Medicaid mandate, which is really the mother of all unfunded mandates, they can opt out of that, plus these high levels of over-insuring people, they can opt out of that. It's to give states the choice, the legislators, the governor, to come together to say, do we want this to apply to the people in our state? Because ultimately, people are opposed to this bill. 58% want it repealed. You know, Harry Reid 2 weeks ago said there will not be a vote. Greta, there's going to be a vote tomorrow on repealing this health care law, and it's going to be a vote in the Senate because Republicans are keeping their promise to the American people.
All right, so no one really expects that the Senate will pass it as the votes to pass it. Do you both agree with that?
It probably won't get 60.
So the way, as I understand, the strategy of the Republicans in the Senate is to basically, cut it off at the pass and defund it in whatever way. Opt-out is one way. Any appropriations is another way.
You got it. The courts are taking this on. It's a three-front war. It's in court, repeal and replace the whole thing, opt out at the state level, defund it, because I believe the election of November of last year was about this bill as much as it was anything else. People hated the process. It was everything bad about Washington coming together at one moment to pass a bill that affected all of our lives. So the process stunk. The substance is overreaching, and we're going to attack it every way we can. We feel we have a mandate to do this.
Is there a point of no return in the sense that we get the machinery going of implementing these 2,700 pages and we can't turn around, that it becomes economically unwise and we're just so vested in the new process?
Well, that's why the administration is dragging its feet on getting this to the Supreme Court. I think that ruling yesterday out of Florida, that is the second stake in the heart of Obamacare. But we're at a point in this country, 9.4% unemployment. We're trying to create new jobs by making it easier and cheaper to create private sector jobs. And with these additional expensive mandates, it's harder for the job creators, the small business of the country, to be able to meet with these mandates. And that's what's making it harder and more expensive to create new private sector jobs.
I don't know how the Supreme Court's going to rule constitutional or unconstitutional, because you can't jump into their minds. But they certainly, I'm convinced it's a big fat lie that it should take any more than 30 or 60 days, because there's nothing that has to be pled anymore. It's not complicated. Right. It's just decide the thing. And anyone who drags his feet on this or says it's complicated is lying.
I heard you last night. You made a very good point. The whole economy is limbo. We don't know what the taxes are going to be because this bill hasn't been defined yet. By 2014, if we don't replace this thing, it will take effect. In my state of South Carolina, under this bill, by 2014, when it becomes fully implemented, 29% of the people in South Carolina will be eligible for Medicaid. That's a dramatic increase. It will be $1 billion more in cost to the state of South Carolina to get federal funds because you have to put a state match. And where does that money come from? Higher taxes, reduced benefits is. So you're dead right. If we don't get this thing turned around by 2014, it will take hold, and it's going to bankrupt states like South Carolina.
I think one of the most intriguing aspects of it, the political aspect, is probably someone like Senator McCaskill, a Democrat who was in favor, one of the first supporters of then Senator Obama over Senator Clinton to be president. Then she has last August this vote in Missouri where some horrendous percentage, like about 71% wanted to dump the individual mandate, and now she's got to do some backpedaling because her state just doesn't want this. What's she going to do?
Well, I don't know, but you saw that the Secretary of Health and Human Services has now granted 2.2 million waivers for people, so it doesn't apply to them. A lot of them
which is like the opt-out. That takes the money out of the system.
Yeah.
So who's going to pay for this?
Yeah, and look who's getting the option to who opt out. It's 167 of them are unions.
How many?
167 unions. 880,000 union employees. They have 40%.
But how many got waivers?
40% of the waivers have gone to union employees, and they're just 7% of the workforce. There are a total now of over 500 waivers, 2.2 million Americans, and we just think every American ought to be able to get a waiver from this terrible health care law.
All right. When are we going to actually get a vote on your bill?
We don't know, but repeal and replace will be voted on tomorrow. I hope it passes. I hope we start over. But John and I are committed to making sure that this amendment is placed on any bill that comes through the Senate until we get a vote. If the people of this country could speak, not just judges, this bill would be replaced, and our opt-out provision gets it out of Washington to the state level where we can have a meaningful debate in public, not behind closed doors in Washington.
Senators, thank you both.
Thank you.
Coming up.